All right, so we're diving into this deep dive on losing belly fat, and wow, you really came prepared.
Yeah.
You sent us articles, research, even personal notes. Looks like you are serious about tackling this once and for all.
I am. I'm ready.
So you gave us this great YouTube video, and it features Jeremy Ethier interviewing like 5 leading experts on this topic.
Yeah, he's great.
So get ready for some serious myth-busting and advice straight from the top.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting? Most people think belly fat, it's just like a cosmetic thing, right?
Yeah.
But it goes way deeper than that. We're talking about visceral fat here, the kind that surrounds your organs. And it can actually lead to serious health problems down the line.
Okay, so let's unpack all this. We've got 5 experts worth of knowledge to dive into.
Right.
What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, they all agreed on one major thing. There's no magic bullet
Oh, really?
for blasting belly fat. Forget about those ab gadgets you see on late night TV.
Oh, man. I was hoping for a shortcut.
Nope. It's about understanding the bigger picture diet, exercise, even sleep. They all play a role.
So it sounds like this deep dive is all about understanding how those pieces fit together.
Exactly. And here's something fascinating. While calorie deficit is super important, it's not just calories in, calories out. The experts really highlighted that the how really matters.
So let's break that down a bit.
Well,
Why is belly fat so stubborn in the first place?
well, you know, it's interesting because the science isn't completely clear on that yet.
Okay.
But one theory is that belly fat is more metabolically active than fat in other areas. And that could be why it seems to stick around longer.
So even if I were to like crank out 1,000,000 crunches,
Huh?
I'm not guaranteed to see a six-pack.
That's right, spot reduction is a myth. You can't target fat loss from a specific area just by exercising that muscle group.
Well, that's a relief. I'd much rather understand how everything works together
Yeah.
than rely on some ab-crunching miracle.
Exactly. It's all about the big picture.
Okay, so if spot reduction is off the table, what is the real key to tackling belly fat?
It all comes down to consistently being in a calorie deficit, meaning you're burning more calories than you're taking in.
Okay, makes sense.
And one expert, Alan Aragon, he has this really intriguing approach to doing this sustainably.
Oh yeah, tell me more about that.
So get this. He completely ditches the restrictive diet mentality and instead focuses on enjoyment.
Okay.
He recommends choosing your top 20 favorite foods, you know, the ones you genuinely love to eat,
Yeah.
and building your meals around them.
So wait, he's saying I don't have to give up all the things I enjoy.
Exactly. It's about finding a way to eat that you can stick with long term.
Okay.
And a big part of that is enjoying your food. But of course, this doesn't mean unlimited pizza and ice cream.
Darn.
It's about choosing those enjoyable foods from each food group. So lean proteins, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, you get the idea.
It sounds like it's all about finding that balance where healthy meets enjoyable.
You got it.
And speaking of things that are good for you, what about protein?
Protein, oh, that's essential, especially when it comes to fat loss, particularly belly fat.
Okay, but why is protein so important specifically for belly fat?
So for one thing, it helps preserve your muscle mass, which is key because the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism and the more calories you burn, even at rest.
So it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Protein helps preserve muscle, which boosts metabolism, makes it easier to stay in that calorie deficit and burn fat.
Exactly. Plus, protein keeps you feeling fuller for longer, so you're less likely to overeat or give in to cravings.
That's super helpful, especially since we're trying to avoid those restrictive diets. So how much protein are we talking about?
Aragon recommends aiming for at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Okay.
But that's just a starting point. You know, it can vary depending on your individual needs and how active you are.
So we've got calorie deficit protein intake. What about exercise? Where does that fit in?
Well, you know, a lot of people think endless hours on the treadmill are the answer.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the experts, Eric Trexler, he's a natural bodybuilder and exercise scientist.
Wow.
He had some really interesting insights about resistance training.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. It seems counterintuitive that lifting weights could help with fat loss.
I know, right? But it all comes down to maintaining and building muscle. Lifting weights helps you avoid that skinny fat look,
Oh, yeah.
where you might be losing weight but not actually changing your body composition.
And I'm guessing building muscle also helps boost metabolism, like we talked about with protein.
Exactly. You're getting it. Plus, who doesn't want to feel strong and toned? It's not just about looks, it's about feeling good in your own body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So resistance training is a must-have in our belly fat-fighting toolkit.
What about cardio?
You know, cardio isn't strictly necessary for fat loss,
Okay.
but it can be helpful, especially if your activity levels decrease while you're dieting. Think of it as a way to boost your calorie burn and support the process.
So it's like an extra tool in the arsenal.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got diet, exercise, anything else we need to factor in?
Believe it or not, one of the most important pieces is often overlooked.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Sleep.
Yeah. There's this groundbreaking 2022 study, Jeremy Ethier highlighted it.
Oh, yeah?
And it showed just how powerful sleep is when it comes to belly fat.
You know, as we've been diving into all this expert advice about belly fat, something really struck me.
What's that?
We're getting all these specific tips, like protein and exercise. But how do we actually make it all work together without getting totally overwhelmed?
That's a great point. It's easy to get lost in the details.
Yeah.
And forget the bigger picture. You know, remember, this isn't about being perfect.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you and creating a lifestyle you can stick with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we take all this knowledge and actually apply it to our own lives?
Well, one thing that really resonated with me was Alan Aragon's idea of focusing on enjoyment.
Oh, yeah?
Remember, instead of restricting yourself to some crazy diet,
Right.
he says, figure out like your top 20 favorite foods, the ones you genuinely love, and build your meals around those. It makes healthy eating feel so much more accessible.
It definitely takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that lead to just eating pizza and ice cream all the time?
Not necessarily. He still emphasizes the importance of balance. It's about choosing healthy options from each food group.
Okay.
So maybe you love pizza,
Yeah.
but you make it with a whole wheat crust.
Okay.
Lots of veggies and lean protein.
I can get behind that.
And you still enjoy ice cream.
Yeah.
But you do it in moderation.
Okay.
Maybe opt for a lower calorie version or a smaller portion.
Gotcha. So it's not about deprivation, but making smarter choices within the foods we enjoy. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about sleep before the break and that study about sleep deprivation leading to belly fat.
Right.
Even if you're eating the same number of calories, it's like our bodies are working against us.
I know. It really highlights how crucial sleep is for overall health.
Yeah.
Not just belly fat loss. Think about it.
What?
You could be doing everything right with your diet and exercise, but if you're constantly sleep deprived, your body's going to hold on to that belly fat.
Oh, no.
Like it's a life raft.
Wait, so even if I'm nailing my calorie deficit and hitting the gym regularly, lack of sleep can still sabotage my efforts.
It's definitely something to be mindful of. The study showed that even when calorie intake was matched,
Wow.
the sleep-deprived participants gained more belly fat than those who got enough sleep.
That's crazy. So how much sleep should we be aiming for to give our bodies the best chance to let go of that stubborn belly fat?
Most experts recommend 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night.
Okay.
But it's not just about the quantity, it's also about the quality.
So what can we do to improve our sleep quality? Any tips from the experts?
Creating a consistent bedtime routine can be really helpful.
Like what?
Winding down an hour or two before bed.
Okay.
Dimming the lights, avoiding screens.
Yeah.
Maybe taking a relaxing bath or reading a book.
Nice.
And make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet.
Like a cave.
Exactly. A sanctuary for sleep.
I love it. Those are great tips. I'm definitely guilty of scrolling on my phone right before bed. I'm going to try that screen-free wind down tonight.
I think you'll notice a difference.
But even with all this great advice, I think the hardest part is staying motivated,
Yeah.
especially when you're not seeing immediate results.
Absolutely. The mental game is huge when it comes to losing belly fat. It's a journey, not a sprint.
Right.
And there will be ups and downs along the way.
I hear you. One of the experts, Lauren Conlon, talked about celebrating non-scale victories.
Yes. Such a good point.
It's about noticing how your clothes fit,
Right.
how you feel your energy levels,
Exactly.
all those things that might not show up on the scale.
It's about shifting your focus from solely that number to how you feel overall.
It's so easy to get fixated on the scale,
But
but it doesn't tell the whole story, does it?
nope, not at all. And another thing Colin emphasized was patience and persistence.
Uh-huh.
Belly fat is often the last to go. So it's important to trust the process and not give up just before you start seeing those results.
So it's like we're training for a marathon, not a 100-meter dash.
Exactly.
We have to pace ourselves and focus on the long game.
That's a great analogy. It's about making those consistent small changes over time
Yeah.
that will ultimately lead to lasting results.
So instead of getting discouraged when we don't see immediate changes, we should be looking for those small wins along the way to help us stay motivated.
Exactly. Celebrate those little victories.
Okay, so what are some things our listeners can do today to start making a difference, even if it's just a small step?
One simple but powerful change is being mindful of your portion sizes.
Okay.
You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Just start paying attention to how much you're putting on your plate.
Portion control. That's something I definitely struggle with.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when I'm eating out. The portions are always huge.
It's a challenge. One tip is to use visual cues.
Okay, how do you do that?
Your fist is about the size of a cup, and a deck of cards is about the size of a serving of protein.
Those visual cues are so helpful. I'm going to start using those. What about exercise?
Yeah.
What's a good starting point for someone who's maybe new to working out?
If you're completely new to exercise, a great place to start is just by increasing your daily activity levels.
Okay.
Take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Yeah.
Park further away from the store.
Okay.
Go for a walk during your lunch break.
I like that.
Those little things add up over time.
It's about making movement a part of your everyday life.
Exactly.
Not just something you dread doing at the gym.
Right. And as you start to feel more comfortable, you can gradually increase the intensity and duration of your workouts.
So it's about finding what feels good and sustainable for you. Now, what about someone who's already exercising regularly,
Yeah.
but not seeing the results they want?
Okay.
What could be holding them back?
If you're already active but not seeing the changes you want, it might be time to revisit your diet. Remember, it all comes back to that calorie deficit.
Right.
You might need to make some adjustments to your food intake to create that negative energy balance.
It's easy to overestimate how many calories we're burning through exercise.
Yeah.
And then we end up eating more than we actually need.
It happens to the best of us. It's not about depriving yourself, but about making informed choices and finding a balance that supports your goals.
And of course, we can't forget about sleep.
Sleep is non-negotiable.
It's like the foundation.
For overall health and fat loss.
Okay, so it seems like we really need to be addressing all aspects of our lifestyle.
Yes.
Diet, exercise, sleep, and not neglecting any one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. It's about creating a synergy between those elements.
Okay.
Working with your body, not against it.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of working with our bodies, how do we deal with the fact that everyone's body is different?
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
That's so true. And that's where the beauty of experimentation comes in.
Oh, okay.
Don't be afraid to try different approaches. See what resonates with you.
Right.
And adjust as needed.
I love that. It's about becoming an expert on your own body.
Exactly.
Figuring out what helps you feel your best.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about listening to your body, honoring its needs, and finding what works for you.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
So much great advice from these experts.
It's amazing how much research is out there and how these experts can help us understand the science behind it all.
Before we wrap up part 2,
Yeah.
any final thoughts you want to share with our listeners before they continue on their belly fat loss journey?
I'd say one of the biggest takeaways for me is that consistency is key.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect all the time.
Right.
It's about making those small changes a part of your daily routine.
It's those small, consistent actions that add up to big results over time.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Celebrate the small wins.
Love it.
And be kind to yourself along the way.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the science behind losing belly fat.
It really has been a journey, hasn't it?
You know, as we've been talking about all this, I'm thinking about how often we get so focused on the end goal.
Right.
You know, that flat belly or those defined abs.
Yeah.
And we forget about the process itself.
It's so true. We get caught up in wanting that quick fix.
Yeah.
But real lasting change that takes time and consistent effort.
And you know, it's not always going to be easy.
Yep.
There will be setbacks and plateaus, those times where you just want to throw in the towel.
Absolutely.
So how do we stay motivated when things get tough?
I think having the right mindset is crucial. It's about shifting your perspective from seeing this as a chore to seeing it as self-care.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about honoring your body and giving it what it needs to thrive.
Exactly. And that means nourishing it with nutrient-dense foods, moving it in ways that feel good, prioritizing rest and recovery, and cultivating a positive relationship with yourself.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your overall well-being.
Yes.
Not just chasing a certain aesthetic.
Exactly. And that's where I think the concept of body neutrality comes in.
Body neutrality.
Yeah, it's about accepting your body as it is.
Okay.
While still working towards your goals.
So it's not about like loving every inch of your body all the time.
Not necessarily.
But about treating it with respect and kindness.
Exactly. And recognizing that your worth is not tied to your appearance.
That's such an important message.
I agree.
Especially in a society that puts so much emphasis on how we look.
It's about breaking free from those external pressures.
Yeah.
And defining health and beauty on your own terms.
It's about finding that inner confidence and strength that comes from taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs.
For sure.
But it's about embracing the process and celebrating every step along the way.
Speaking of celebrating those steps, what are some things our listeners can do to acknowledge their progress, even when they're not seeing huge changes on the scale?
One thing Lauren Conlon mentioned that really resonated with me was focusing on how your clothes fit.
Oh, yeah.
How do your jeans feel?
Right.
Do you have more energy throughout the day? Are you sleeping better?
Oh, that's a good one.
Those are all signs that you're moving in the right direction.
Those are such great indicators of progress. It's about tuning into how you feel rather than just fixating on a number.
Exactly. And it's also important to celebrate those non-scale victories.
Like what?
Did you make a healthier choice at a restaurant?
Oh, yeah?
Did you push yourself a little harder during your workout? Did you get a full night's sleep?
Those are all wins.
They are. All wins worth acknowledging.
It's about finding those moments of pride and accomplishment throughout the journey.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to seek support, too.
Oh, that's a good point.
Whether it's a friend, a family member, a professional coach, having someone to cheer you on and hold you accountable can make all the difference.
Absolutely. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help.
Nope.
It's a sign of strength and self-awareness.
And remember, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
There's a whole community of people out there who are working towards similar goals.
This has been such a powerful conversation.
It has.
I think we've covered so much valuable information.
It's been a deep dive in the truest sense of the word.
As we wrap up this episode, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I'd say the most important thing is to remember that you are in control.
Okay.
You are in control of your own health and well-being.
Love it.
You have the power to make choices that support your goals and create a life that feels good.
That's so empowering. And don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Listen to your body, be patient with yourself, and celebrate every step of the journey.
Well said. We hope you found this deep dive informative and empowering. Remember, you are capable of achieving amazing things.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into losing belly fat.
Until next time, keep diving deep.